In this video, we are going to be talking about the expression and the wound. So let's talk about what is expression, the definition of expression. The process of making known one's thoughts or feelings, or the look on someone's face that conveys a particular emotion. So, this is the definition of expression. So, it's a process of conveying one's thoughts or emotions, and to this, we can add that it can be through speaking, writing, other forms of creative expression. It also relates to our beliefs, what we think on a repeated basis, the things that we have come to see as truth. Our expression will reflect that. It's also related to our perception because our beliefs affect our perception, which then affects our expression. So, how we perceive life, the lens through which we see life, will color our expression. Then the default emotional state that affects expression as well. Our default way of communication, that is how you speak to yourself, to your loved ones, to your colleagues, to other random human beings, all of this forms a part of our expression. Now, given that we are a spark of the divine in human form, it implies that our expression is sacred. And expression is power because expression is how we create in this world. It's connected to our personal life force energy. Expression is an act of creation of your own life. When you express your truth, and by truth I mean your true authentic self, your core identity, there is power in it. It's a gift to the world to truly allow our light to shine through, to, to let our strengths, our skills, our innate gifts shine through. Now, much of how we communicate and express comes from an intense and deep desire to be seen, heard, and to be seen and heard authentically. And how you communicate and express creatively creates your life. So, what we express on a regular basis, it becomes our life, and that's how we are creating our life. So, if our expression is not pure, then our life will reflect it. If we don't consistently express what we truly desire, then we create our lives in misalignment. So it's no wonder that we reach stages like our midlife stage, where so much of the awakening happens, where we are just perplexed at how our external reality doesn't match what we want. And oftentimes we don't even know what we want. So when we uplevel our expression, we uplevel our creative power. We become an active co creator of our lives rather than just reacting to what comes our way. Now, let's talk about the wound and how that impacts expression. We talked about the misaligned mental emotional patterns, that is, the karmic patterns in the previous video, that create blocks to our higher expression. So, the wound is a thing that blocks us from expressing our highest self. And we will discuss this in depth in the next module, but I want to give you a brief idea of that here. From the natal chart perspective, Chiron, Saturn, and Pluto in your chart indicate the karmic patterns that are unresolved, that the soul wants to heal. And these are the places that trigger us, where we are sensitive. It's painful, where we may get stuck over and over. And this then impacts our expression, verbal and creative. So, some examples are unresolved emotions like anger, fear, grief, guilt, or mental patterns like constant self criticism, guilt, judgment. And here is an example. So, say in a previous life, a soul experienced the loss of a loved one. Say the soul experienced witnessing a loved one dying. And now there are a lot of emotions associated with that. There can be deep grief, sadness, hopelessness, a feeling of emptiness that there is nothing worth living for. If it was someone that provided financial stability, then the loss of the loved one could create a sense of lack, of fear of the future, and a fear that the soul will not be taken care of. Now, if that soul did not resolve those emotions in that lifetime, when it is reborn, that emotional package comes along into this lifetime. It's part of the baggage that it brought in. So now that starts to color its expression in this lifetime. Maybe the soul feels a sense of lack all the time, a sense of not being supported. Maybe the soul feels like they are all alone in the world, even when they are amongst people, and they carry a heaviness within, even when outwardly things may not be that way. And there may be certain times when those unresolved emotions are triggered and they are brought to the awareness of the personality. So when we go through Pluto, Chiron, Saturn transits, those unresolved emotions are absolutely brought up. They are brought up to the surface of awareness. So if we are not aware of this dynamic and we don't do anything about it, we repeat the same patterns over and over again. And this is how we get stuck in karmic loops. They are most of the time unconscious till we do this inner work of bringing it to our awareness and transmuting it. So then the personality self is expressing through this filter or the lens of grief, lack, and fear. Now just imagine for a moment the difference between living life or expressing or communicating through a lens of joy and feeling supported versus through a lens of grief and loneliness. And now this can be applied to anything: courage versus fear, acceptance and support versus judgment. How easy will it be for you to take a risk, even an informed risk, when you're coming from optimism versus fear and the inner critic? So these patterns are all what I call the wounds or the blocks that block our highest expression. And when we communicate through that part of us, we diminish our higher expression. We diminish our highest potential, what is possible for us. And they add to the facade that we have built of ourselves. And often we feel like a fraud or we experience imposter syndrome because we don't feel comfortable with who we are. These old parts of us are up for exploration in this massive time of evolution. And in this course, we are going to address the wound, specifically the critic, the judge, the fearful one. These are all the wounded parts of self that majorly block our highest expression. And imagine if all of humanity was expressing through their highest self rather than through all the unresolved stuff. If we were expressing through love, compassion, honor, respect, even when opinions differ, what an amazing world that would be. So, this course seeks to inspire you and empower you to live your highest expression with authenticity and joy. So, here I want to discuss the possibility of opening to our new expression and the difference between role versus soul purpose. We often go through life following a template of what others have set for us. We may go to school, college, get a degree, then a job, and have a career. And we also play different roles in our lives: that of child, mother, father, friend, spouse, etc. Now, our expression, of course, is related to all of these things. We express through our jobs and careers, through our roles. Different facets of our personality and identity come through in these different areas of our life. However, that is not necessarily the only part of our soul purpose. Soul purpose is those things that your soul has come here to express, to experience, to do, to learn new skills, the things that you were born to do. And you may or may not know what that is yet, and that is okay. So I just want to bring this point up for introspection, that the job or the career that you have may or may not be related to your soul purpose 100%. The roles that you play in your life may or may not be related to your soul purpose 100%. And that means that you may have other interests that are dormant, and especially as we go through transformation and transitional times, new desires and interests awaken within us. So, paying attention to these is important because they also may form a part of your soul purpose that is evolving. And these are the experiences that your soul wishes to have, the sacred work that you were born to do, the impact that you wish to have in areas that are not your current job or career or roles. So as we do the big work of clearing the blocks, new things will open up to you. This course is an invitation to go beyond what you know of yourself, to go beyond who you know yourself to be at this moment and how you express now. And I cannot emphasize this enough. Being curious about yourself, where you can go, what can open up to you, what else is there underneath this level, what makes you unique. We want to be curious about all these things. So, in closing, I just want to say that it's an act of love to honor and express your unique self, your unique gifts, the unique fractal of source of divine creator that you are. And I hope that you're excited to find out more about yourself and to know yourself deeply in this way.